Mist clung to the jagged teeth of Rocky Canyon, thick and cold. Breezy darted through the gaps, her wings a blur against the towering stone pillars. She banked hard, buzzing deep into the shadows near a dark, gaping crevice. She hovered, silenced by the gloom, then let out a sharp, joyful, "Hello!" The canyon swallowed the sound. A heartbeat later, it spat it back with perfect, jarring precision. "Hello!" Breezy froze. She pulled her wings tight, hovering in place. Every sense locked on the void. She shouted again, her voice thin against the massive stone. "Who is there?" The rocks mimicked her tone instantly. "Who is there?" The sound did not fade. It hung in the air, cold and invasive. Panic flared in her chest. She darted left, then right, trying to find a gap in the noise. But the canyon threw her own words back at her from every direction. She was not alone, yet there was nothing to see. She pressed herself against the stone, trembling as the walls seemed to lean in, waiting for her to speak again. The canyon walls felt like closing jaws. Breezy did not look back. She pushed her wings to their absolute limit. A frantic buzz of motion that blurred the landscape into streaks of green and brown. She surged across the open field, desperate for a solid presence, in a world that had suddenly turned into a trap. She slammed into a hard, rounded obstacle in the grass. Shellyok. He was moving with his usual, agonizing deliberation. Breezy did not waste a second. She grabbed the edge of his shell and tugged, her tiny legs straining against his weight. She buzzed in short staccato bursts, pushing him toward the canyon rim. Shellyok did not resist, nor did he rush. He simply adjusted his grip on his magnifying glass and allowed himself to be guided. Breezy moved with frantic, jerky flight patterns, circling back to shove his shell forward whenever he slowed his pace. The canyon loomed ahead again, the dark crevice waiting like an open mouth. She landed on the stone just outside the opening, her chest heaving. She pointed a shaking leg toward the black void. "It is hiding in there," she buzzed, her voice straining with residual fear. Breezy hovered inches from the abyss, her wings vibrating with a high-pitched hum of agitation. She drew a sharp breath and screamed at the darkness, "Go away!" The silence that followed lasted only a second, heavy and expectant. Then, the canyon walls erupted. The sound rebounded with a metallic, mocking precision. "Go away!" Breezy flinched as if struck. The voice was hers, yet stripped of her intent, twisted into something hostile and alien. She shouted again, louder this time, "Leave me alone!" The canyon responded instantly, throwing her words back with a jarring, amplified force. "Leave me alone." Terror surged through her. She spun in the air, seeking the source of the intruder, but there was only the cold, unmoving stone. The walls seemed to vibrate with the lingering resonance of her own panic. She could not fight a voice that possessed no body. She dove behind the curve of Shellyok, pressing her face against the surface of his shell, shielding her eyes from the dark opening. Her breathing was ragged, short gasps that echoed softly against the stone. Shellyok remained perfectly still, his eyes fixed on the crevice, unmoved by the chaos of sound bouncing around them. Shellyok did not retreat. He shifted his weight, reached into a compartment within his shell, and produced a small, carved wooden whistle. He brought it to his mouth and blew a sharp, piercing note. "Tweet!" The canyon returned the sound instantly. "Tweet!" Breezy peeked out from behind his shell, her wings twitching. Shellyok held up a magnifying glass, pointing it toward the flat stone face of the canyon. He pantomimed throwing a ball against a wall, watching it bounce back into his hand. He gestured toward the abyss, explaining that sound travels in invisible waves, much like ripples spreading across the surface of a pond. When those waves strike a hard, flat surface, they cannot pass through. They rebound, traveling back to their origin point. He tapped the stone face with his knuckle, demonstrating the density of the rock. He called it an echo. The word hung in the air, stripped of its menace. Breezy crept further from behind the safety of the shell. She looked at the dark crevice, then back at Shellyok. The monster was gone. In its place was a simple, observable rule of nature. Her rapid, panicked breathing, slowed to a steady rhythm as curiosity replaced the fear. Breezy darted into the open, testing her new understanding. She let out a series of rhythmic chirps and delighted giggles, waiting for the canyon to toss every note back with playful precision. She flew in a wide arc, calling out to the rocks as if playing tag with the wind. The canyon answered her every move, transforming her joy into a chorus of sound. As the sun dipped behind the jagged peaks, painting the stone walls in deep hues of orange and gold, Shellyok turned to face the camera. He adjusted his stance, gesturing toward the surrounding cliffs. He explained that hard, flat surfaces are the universal secret to hearing an echo, whether in a high mountain pass, a deep cave, or even the quiet, empty hallway of a home. Anyone can trigger the phenomenon by making a sharp sound and listening for the return. Breezy hovered directly in front of the lens, her wings a blur of motion. She gave a quick, playful wink, then zipped away into the distance. She left behind the silent canyon and a final challenge for the viewers: to find their own echo and discover the invisible waves waiting in the quiet spaces around them.